Nobody uses Torishi. Alright, third video in a week. I'm setting a record here, but I think it's necessary after all the love for my individualism video. If you will notice in that video that I referred more often to community, society, than the capital S state. By state, libertarians seem to overwhelmingly mean the bureaucratic apparatus with officials in offices, with men in uniforms who will have them gang raped in prison for running a red light. Far be it from me to get in the way of a college boy's wet dream, but the origin of the state goes beyond this self-serving definition. And while I don't have any hope really of reaching fanatics who consider Governor Christie of New Jersey or Governor Walker of Wisconsin to be socialists for serving in the state, perhaps some of the more reasonable folks out there might be able to follow along with me on this. Human societies, through most of history, consisted of small tribal or village-based communities where state and society were co-equal. The laws, the enforcement authority, were applied on a horizontal basis, as with American Indians, for instance. That doesn't mean they were more fair by modern standards. They were more intolerant of deviations from the village norm. Women, children were subordinate, as well as any outsiders who might have been turned into slaves. But once a society expands beyond such a basic entity, begins to engage the outer world, develop divisions of labor, expand its territory, these social functions, for good or not, become objectified and vertical. It's only the modern liberal state that has completely superseded the notion of tribal politics, that has endowed its members with individual rights equal to, if not greater than, group interest. From this has come a false consciousness that humanity can supersede the state, but retain the complexity that's evolved over centuries. I say a false consciousness because such individuals take for granted how the state is bearing society's burdens for them. Even if these burdens were privatized, there would still be the need of an enforcement authority in case one private individual tells another to go fuck himself and his rights. Ironically, it's against the modern liberal state that most libertarians are fighting. We don't see those resisting truly repressive regimes, as in the Arab world of the moment, call for abolishing or privatizing the state. This again is a rich man's first world fantasy. But we're told that these libertarian values apply to each and all equally, that questions of social class don't enter into it at all. I won't dwell on how libertarian economics were applied in Pinochet's Chile, where it took a military coup and massive torture and terror to give the Chilean people the freedom to choose. Let's look at the United States. That means Governor Paul LePage, a self-described libertarian Republican and teabagger. As he was born in 1948, it seems he'd qualify for the title of old man, but considering his pubescent attitudes and juvenile antics, it might be unfair to even apply the noun man, let alone age-based adjectives. Be that as it may, he just announced he wants a mural of Maine's labor history taken down out of the State Department of Labor building. The department should have all the people of Maine, says Governor LePage, represented, and since it doesn't, since we can't have a mural of hardworking CEOs at their desks or lawyers busy on the golf course, down must come the likeness of Rosie the Riveter. But such class neutrality is a facade, and libertarians admit as much to themselves. On libertarianrepublicans.net, this action is headlined as, and I quote, "Business and jobs over labor interests for Maine. Symbolism matters. Libertarian Tea Party Republican Governor Paul LePage is letting it be known that Maine is a pro-business state and will not be held hostage by unions." So there you have it, an honest admission, that libertarianism is in essence a tool of class war by the privileged, a rationale for the shirking of social responsibility, and breaking the bonds of mutuality that make democratic citizenship possible. Having demonized the word socialist, they're now endeavoring to make democracy a dirty word. Rubbing it out as strenuously as old man LePage is eradicating the name of Cesar Chavez from the room in the Maine Labor Building named in his honor. Rendering a civic figure into an unofficial non-person, an act of public Stalinism unknown heretofore in the United States. More of Governor LePage's libertarianism is displayed in his making his daughter his assistant chief of staff. $41,000 of taxpayers' money per year was full state benefits while staying with Daddy in the governor's mansion, where she received a state housing benefit. And even more of his class neutrality is shown by his pushing for a 5% flat tax for those making over $30,000 a year. I suspect Governor LePage made his decision to take down the labor mural precisely because he knows today is the 100th anniversary of the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire, a notorious tragedy in a garment sweatshop in New York City. On March 25, 1911, 146 workers, most of them female immigrants, died because they were locked in their workplace to prevent unauthorized product loss. If libertarian governors like LePage, Walker, and Christie, and they are libertarians in practical action, regardless of what fanatics may say about them as compromising libertarian values by even serving in a state, if these men have their way, repressive state bureaucracies like OSHA will be lifted from the backs of workers who will again have the freedom to choose between burning to death or leaping out a 9th floor window. I can knock at the phone. Who was it this time? Better not be Stalin again. Hello? Ronald Reagan? I thought you were dead too, old man. What? You're sitting around with Milton Freeman talking about the good old days? Well, rest assured, those days aren't very old any more than they're good. All right. Yeah, you'd be 100 yourself now, huh? And Milton's going to turn 99? And both your mothers wore a shirtwaist. I might have known that much.